In this video, I'm going to teach you the basics of world building in Unreal Engine for filmmakers. Let's go.
Hey, welcome to Real-Time Workflows. I'm MX Bell. I worked on Deadpool and Wolverine, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, 1917, Hobbs and Shaw, Wheel of Time, Little Mermaid, No Time to Die, tons more. What you're going to get in the channel are my pro tips and how I use Unreal Engine to make films. So let's get started. Let's make some stuff. See you down the road.
We're on the walk now, aren't we? Oops. Right, welcome back to Real-Time Workflows with me, MX Bell, and we are going to cover world building. Now, what do I mean by world building? I mean, if you're not scanning a location that you're gonna set your movie in and you want to do previs for, maybe the location doesn't exist. Then look, somebody's got to build it, right? Now, it might not be that you build the final thing, but you're probably gonna have to at least start prototyping it, and you're gonna have to get yourself a level which you can set some action in and start to make some shots. So there's a couple of ways to do that, and it depends what kind of thing you're doing. Let's take scenario number one, an indoor scenario. Okay, let's jump into it. So if it's an indoor scenario, we probably don't want all the outdoor lights that we discussed in the lighting lesson, but hey, look, we're not going to worry too much about them right now. There's a couple of ways to do this, and we will start with the scale reference. I think having a scale reference is super useful. Now, you can use a meter cube if you like. I like to use a character. And as Adam, I use Adam for everything, as you will probably know. And basically, like, what we're going to do, there's a panel that used to be here a lot, which is useful here. It's called Place Actors. It's kind of an old one, but if you're going to be dragging a lot of these in, it's kind of useful. You just drag them in from there. So that's in Window Place Actors. And basically, what we're going to do here is we're just going to start roughing in where we think our walls and things are. Right? Now, there's a few little secrets to this. So this snaps to a grid. If I move this now, this object, you can't really tell, but let's make it bigger, 100. Now you can see it's snapping to a grid, right? So it's every 100 centimeters, every meter basically, it's snapping. You can reduce that down to like 10. You can also do that for rotation, and you can do it for scale too. See how I did it for scale there? So this allows you to kind of very accurately just kind of snap things to each other, which is nice. And the key skill for this is to know that holding Alt and transform an object will make you a duplicate of the object, like that. And we can just drag them off, and we can do what we want with them. So 90 degrees, we're making a room, for example. And all we're doing here is we call this blocking a room, or blocking a level, I should say. It's not blocking a room, blocking a level. We can also, if we hold Alt and middle click, so with your mouse or your pen, whatever, that's my middle, but I've set it to that. Alt and middle click will move the pivot. Remember the pivot point I talked about videos and videos ago? And now if we transform, it goes from that pivot, right? Which is cool. That's nice. We like that. We can also right click and set as pivot offset, and then it won't change back. Whereas if we just do it without changing it, and we can make a change. See, it already snapped back. So we change that there. Then we click onto something else, and we click back, and it's back to where it was. Whereas this one, it's kept it because we set it as the pivot offset, right? So we're just gonna basically rough out an entire, what Unreal would consider really to be, a level, right? Now, if you remember as well, the world and local transforms up here, these are pivotal. Okay, so each object has got its own pivot point, remember? So now that we've rotated this, we can see that the gizmo is rotated, but if we set it to world, it isn't, it's set to the world. Now, what will happen then if you transform it off its own axis, you will lose that kind of, you'll lose the straight one direction at a time kind of transforms, which I like to do. It's kind of mathematical. So I'm going to keep it on local. And I'm just moving stuff. I'm kind of arbitrarily. I sort of kind of know what I want to do, but So remember, if you move your pivot, it makes it super easy to kind of transform stuff, because we've got that kind of, it's like acts a bit like a door, it's got a hinge. So we can use this one and we can just keep replacing, and we can really quickly build out almost like a map, right? So you can kind of see that we've blocked out a, and if we add returns, returns are a phrase I learned in art department, where you kind of add a way for it to kind of close itself off without being closed off. So this would be a way, for example, to do that. Right. So from this direction now, it doesn't seem like we don't know that it doesn't carry on past there because we're here. So we need to do it for that that there as well. What we're going to do next, so if we come down here now, where this character, we can see that there's nothing there, so let's just scale that one out. So now no matter where we move, down here we can kind of, we've got a closed in kind of area for all this. Maybe not quite there, look. Let's just do that again. Okay. So that's blocking a level, that's how we block a level, just using basic shapes just to be able to tell the story. Now, let's say this is going to be a cave environment. What we could do is let's take all of our cubes and let's make them a group, not a group, a folder. So we've put those in a folder. They're probably good to be placed in a sublevel. If you've not seen the sublevels lesson, then I would go check that out. I'll put a card up there. A really useful way to go think about level organization, to put all that stuff into a file, into its own separate sublevel that can be referenced by other artists and used separately, is a really good idea. So do be doing that. Do be doing that. Do be doing that. So if we were doing that in here, we would go to, so we might call this our, if we said this was our ML world building, we might have a level SL world building blocking, that into my levels. So we right click and we go change stream method to always loaded. This is in the sublevels lesson. And then in here we can go, in levels we can go move selected actors to level, and now if we turn off that level, we've lost the blocking, which is cool. And then one other thing we might do is we might go level and go SL geometry, and then we can put geometry into here again, change streaming method always loaded. And now what we're going to do is we can start bringing when we start bringing our real assets in. So for example, let's say we're making this kind of a cave-like environment. We're going to bring these are big, holy shit. We'll bring these in here. And we would start to add our real geometry in place. This might be done by another artist further down the pipeline. And then of course, we can turn off the blocking and we're just left with our assets. So these assets have come from, if you were working in the industry, you probably have an artist create these, or you might use some from the marketplace. These are obviously from the marketplace. But there's also no reason, if you knew that you were going to use this, there's no reason why you wouldn't block with it, and then you've got something kind of right off the bat that you can use. This maybe kind of in a corner like this. Okay, so that's how we block and then fill out with assets our levels. I'm not going to go too much into it because you can just, I'm not building a level. Right, now, so that's if we were, and of course if we were indoors we'd have a roof on it and we would do the lighting and all that kind of stuff, but we've talked about lighting. What if we want to do it a slightly different way? So here's a cool way that was fairly new recently. I don't know that I like it better, but it might suit you. So let's just see if you think you get along with it. If we go to the modeling tab, I'm probably going to do a lesson on the modeling tab. But there's a cool tool for laying out levels, and it might just suit you. So we'll just cover it quickly now. So we've got a cube grid tool, right? So each of these are meter cubes, and we can select them in rows, right? And we can go pull, and it pulls them up. So we go pull, pull, push, pull. But you can start to build shapes by basically going pull, 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 and then you can draw it on a wall here. Look, and then push, 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 push. Pull, 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 pull. We want to punch a hole in it. Push. You know, so you'd kind of get the whole area that you want. Let's say you want this to be a base area, and we go pull once, and then we could start saying, let's say we want this to be the. You can kind of just draw your shape that you want, just in single lines. So we go pull, 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 pull. Let's say, and it keeps everything kind of really kind of organized and tidy. In that sense. So let's put a hole in that. Let's say put a hole in that. Maybe put 2 holes in it. So you can kind of see, it wouldn't work very well for natural structures, like our cave system over here, where we were kind of just being a little bit just quite organic and kind of free-flowing and artistic. But if you've got a very specific structure and you've been given a floor plan or anything like that, this is a really good way to kind of block it out. Okay, and if we want to put a roof on it, we do this, and we go pull, 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 pull. Right? And that's how you do it. And we do the same thing here. Look, we go all the way across here, and we would go. If I can operate the bloody thing, we go over it and we go pull, 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 pull. And now if we look in here, we've got an actual room with very, very little effort that we've blocked out. Now, the other cool thing about this as well is that this is UV mapped. Each of those squares is a single UV tile. Now what that means is that so each one is a texture, and the texture repeats, and that they're very uniformly they're tiled for materials very uniformly, which is good. Like, that is what you want. They've got nice and even. There's nothing like over here where we've stretched and scaled things. That UV will be really stretched, look, can you see? Because we scaled it out, so it's super stretched. But yeah, it's super stretched, whereas on here the same thing looks kind of normal. But it's a good system, okay? It's good, it's cool. It keeps the textures nice and even, and it's a nice way to do it. So that is world building via, let's call it polygons.